All right. So it's still July 23rd, 2012. Let's talk about serious business now. Enough about the Colorado shooting. They say that presidential candidates, presidents can't do everything. They're bound by secrecy laws, and even Kennedy said it once. He says there was no experience that can adequately prepare you for being president other than being president. So any incumbent president that debates anyone has the debaters who've never been president at a disadvantage because the president knows so much. So if that was so true, how did Clinton get elected? Unless it was all set up in that direction. Because old man Bush, Herbert Walker Bush, knew a hell of a lot of what was going on. I mean, he was director of the CIA. There's a DVD that you people should really see. I don't have it with me, but it's called Psychiatry, Industry of Death. And it's promoted by, I believe, the CCHR, which is a group that protects people who have psychiatric problems, people who have mental problems, people who are disabled, people who are mentally challenged. In that DVD, it mentions that more people, and this is why I say you should never call people crazy unless you have a doctorate or degree, but at the same time, doctors or psychiatrists and psychoanalysts, since its inception of mental illness, and the majority of psychiatrists believe that everyone has some form of sickness. Everything is a sickness. More people have died in institutions, and the drug thing. There's like millions of kids that are on drugs now. Legitimate drugs being given because of a certain problem they may or may not have. And more people have died in all the wars, all the way back, including the American Revolutionary War, than have in these institutions than have ever died in all of those wars. How does that strike you? Does that mean psychiatrists really know what they're doing? Or are they off their bonkers too? Which is why they're called shrinks. So, how do you... Gotta move over a little. What's that? Yeah, that's good. I gotta remember I gotta put my written thing right here. So anyway, with that much statistic about the fact that people die under these institutions who are supposedly being cared for, men, women, and children, how do you propose to change all that? You've got an overpopulation. The planet has more than 6 billion people. People tend to have this addictive habit of clustering in large numbers, like cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, which means that it's like a double-edged sword. Living in such large numbers here, when there's an earthquake, there's a higher chance possibility of many, many people dying. Now, Child Services jumps on parents who are neglectful and don't take care of their children well enough. I want to point something out to you. You know you live in an earthquake area. Why are you bringing your kids up in an earthquake area? And when they die from an earthquake, you're going to go, oh, we should have never lived there, or maybe we should have moved away, and I don't know, hindsight. What's sad here is that if you take everything to its most extreme level, practically every parent in the city of Los Angeles and San Francisco and all the California coast is negligent of the safety of their children and their babies because you're bringing them up in earthquake territory. But you're willing to take that chance, I see. Just like you're willing to take the chance that you print "In God We Trust" on every bill and every coin, and you 79% of it is used to kill innocent men, women, and children. In other countries. Remember I said that I'm dying? I am. Dying, I have many varied backgrounds. One of them is biology. Illnesses start at the atomic level, at the level of the atom. They don't start just at the molecular level. They start at the atom. And my health has been compromised by the city of Los Angeles, the mayor, the police, the parking enforcement, the whole crappy system that doesn't work. It works for them. For 9 years, they followed me and took my cars, my trucks, my boats. People, individuals slashed my tires. Police would not do anything about it because they didn't like my ugly trucks and cars. Instead of finding a place for me, I was subjected, or helping me find a place where at least I could be safe and carry on my research. You can't conduct private research. You have to have a permit. You have to have, to conduct research, I have to have permission from you jerks to conduct private research. These people are nuts, cuckoo. And they're the same cuckoo ones that allowed these events to take place. I don't care whether it's the mayor of Aurora, Colorado, or the mayor of Los Angeles, or the mayor of San Francisco, or the mayor of New York. Let me ask you something. Remember I said that I made a prediction about the shooting? Aurora, Colorado is only one city that goes by the name Aurora. There's at least 19 cities that go by the name Aurora. One of them is in Alaska. Ooh, I slipped. Does that mean there's going to be a big earthquake in Alaska next, and I'm making a prediction? A cryptic prediction? Now I'm being sarcastic. Or maybe it'll happen in Auroraville, Alaska. Because there's two Auroras. One's Aurora in Alaska and one's Auroraville. I'm starting with Alaska because that's where you're supposed to see the Aurora Borealis. When a huge solar flare hits the planet Earth, you usually see it further down. Like they did a few weeks ago in in Minnesota. And yes, my coughing is bad enough that I've spit up blood and so on and so forth, and I refuse to go to the doctor. I'm just going to let myself die because it's not worth living. It isn't. And that's why I said in my other videos that I'd gladly give my life for any of the people that have been killed and all these crazy things, like they think their life is that worthwhile. They're all hypocrites, even the dead ones. If you pay taxes to the federal government, you have killed innocent children, men, women, and children in other countries. Panama, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, especially during the sanctions in Iraq. It isn't worth living in a world where the wrong people are in power, where people meet every year at the Bilderberg meetings, and great, powerful people that are worth billions of dollars meet there, like the president of Coca-Cola. He goes to Bilderberg meetings, yeah. And they meet to discuss future policies, which become policies after they discuss them. Ironically, coincidentally, life isn't supposed to be like this. You're not supposed to take people's possessions. You're not supposed to circumvent the civil rights of someone or find alternative ways to attack people who are supposed to be safeguarded by their civil rights. They're not. Mine haven't been. Mine have been destroyed. I don't see people banding together and saying, hey, Caesar, this is a bad break that happened to you. Bad breaks, plural, over and over again. So somebody is out to get you. It's not all in your mind. You're not crazy. They really don't care. It's the system. The system is set up in such a way that they hurt people. If they don't want people to live in their motorhomes here, then they should have a sign at the city limits of Los Angeles saying, no motorhomes allowed, you're not allowed to live in your motorhomes. If you want to do any of these things, this list here, turn around and go away because you're going to have problems here. I was never informed of half of the laws that they make up and toss over and over again and make them law without notifying the public, and then they attack the people and tow their motorhomes away, take their last vestige of any kind of home or roof over their heads away from them, like they did to me, over and over again. So, sure, I don't care about living anymore. I don't eat right. My health has been compromised. I have no stable place to set up my supplements so that I can take care of myself properly. My background is real varied. You know, doctors were sending their patients to me. One of the people I consulted was Mike Connors of Mannix. There were a lot of people that were sent to me that Robert Davi, the guy who played the bad guy in License to Kill in the James Bond movie many years ago with Timothy Dalton. And instead of being honored for things like that, instead of being complimented and rewarded for things like that, I was attacked and destroyed over and over again. At the local level, which is a violation of my civil rights. Repeated violations. So many that I've lost track of them. By the way, in certain civil rights, unless you're beat up like Rodney King, and even if you're beat up like Rodney King, you have between 6 months to a year to sue the city. You can't sue the police department directly. You have to file an administrative claim against the city for whatever department or departments you're suing. If I were the citizens of Colorado, I'd sue the city. I'd file an administrative claim against the city for not being aware of this person that was doing that. I'd file a lawsuit against the federal government for them ignoring me and my cryptic predictions, and they were cryptic only because I was really pissed off about what the government has done to me. And if you have a compassionate heart and you go, well, Caesar, you should have told. If you really care about life, you should have told us. No. Nobody cared about my life. Why should I care about yours? You don't care about the innocent children that you've killed in Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam and your ancestors, your father and mothers, who killed them as well by paying money collectively into the military and the taxes without setting safeguards for yourself so you wouldn't be responsible for something like that. And by the way, there is a safeguard that you could have initiated all the way back to 1972 during Vietnam that could have been initiated that would have protected you from me making this accusation against every American citizen that you're all murderers and killers of men, women, and children, innocent people in other countries with your tax dollars. I could not make that statement if I'd been listened to, or actually my older twin had been listened to in 1972. I was just a little kid then. But if that person had been listened to, which is where I picked it up from, that would have really hit home. Because the people would have then not had to have protested in the street saying we're against the Vietnam War and all that. It would have been taken care of instantly. But I'm not going to mention it to you again, because you're not worthy of my intelligence. Neither is the media, neither is the government, neither is anybody else. You're destroying me. Right now, I have to go turn in a U-Haul truck because I don't have enough money to move out of storage, etc. The creepy jerks who run that company, who mistreat their employees and take advantage of them by giving them, what, 35-cent raises? The last time I remember hearing a 35-cent raise was in an old silent film movie, which was around the turn of the century in the 1900s, 1920s, somewhere around there. Anyway, it goes without any kind of argument or saying that you're the people that need your heads examined, because you've got all the wrong priorities. You've set up all the wrong priorities for yourselves, and you deserve every bit of violence that you get. I have an answer for how to stop terrorism, how to stop the terrorists in their tracks, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and anywhere else in the world, by doing one act that will send such fear into every terrorist, they're not going to want to embark on some mission to try and do that. Oh yeah, there are ways. From my research that I did when I did have my peaceful times, when people didn't know where I was and I was doing my quantum generators and doing my research, I discovered a lot of things. A lot of things that are super top secret. They're in my head. The government will never get them out of me. And the reason they'll never get them, because I know they don't have them, because if they had them, everything that I know would have happened already and there wouldn't be any terrorist plots. So, we're already 15 minutes into a second video, and I guess I'm going to call it for a day. No one's going to show up and really help me, since the help isn't really needed because I'm already destroyed. They've done such a good job of raping my life of all my young years, and raping my life of all my possessions, and raping my life of my health. I hope you people are happy doing what you're doing, because you have really destroyed not just me, you've destroyed